Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, great and wonderful people of Biafra, lovers of freedom all over the world. I greet you according to your place of domicile and you are welcome to this program. While you are joining us, share this video, invite others to join. If you are joining us, share the video on YouTube, on Facebook. Kindly share the video, invite others to join. Let's make sure that we are live clearly. All right. I greet you according to Okay, we are coming out clearly. Wherever you are watching from, you are welcome to this program. Of course, you have seen what we have today, most importantly, because we are here to advise the young people in Nigeria, the young people across the Africa continent in extensions, that it is time for them. It is time for those young people to understand what they need to do. Like I will always say, and I will never get tired of saying it, to get Africa to work, Nigeria has a big role to play in it. Why do I say so? Nigeria is the giant of Africa, colonized by the colonial master, the Great Britain. And if you look around, most of the African countries, Britain dig their hands or their fingers, they poke their noses into these African countries. So the Great Britain colonized Nigeria, and none other, came in except Great Britain, the colonial master. So in this regard, for you to understand that the development and the growth of Africa has a lot to do with Nigeria, the biggest economy in Africa by population, the giant of Africa by population, the giant of Africa with also a very, very important resources. This afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you are watching from, your time zone, I am going to actually show you and tell you what you have in Nigeria. You have all that resources you have in Nigeria. You know what people are killing themselves for? For the oil money. For the oil money. That is where people are focused. Any president that comes into power, they will never talk about revenue coming out from every other resources that Nigeria possesses, except oil money. Oil coming out of Biafra land. That is what actually, make this topic more interesting. Oil coming out of Biafra land, it is the only thing that they are talking about in Nigeria. Of course, you saw the video next to me here when I actually started this program. You could see the video next to me of your president, select on the seat, on the position of power. The reason why I put that video is, regardless of how evil or how you work with evil people, at the end of the day, they will show you that they are evil people. Tinubu went to install Buhari in 2015 to be your president at all cost. Even the USA presidential, US president in 2015 campaigned for Tinubu. Now scared good luck off. Today, Buhari actually died in the seat. Nigeria concealed it. They projected, they gave to Nigerians an imposter. The reason why I am outlining these things is for those who are all over the place to understand that whenever you see a Nigeria, wherever you see a Nigeria, you should pity them instead of trying to make them pity these people. These people have used their eyes to see their ears. Nigerians, they have used their eyes to see their ears. That is the reason why I say you should pity them. There are many things happening against these people called Nigeria all over the place, including the countries where they are domiciled outside Nigeria. Even in Africa, they are actually always in the news. Why? Because of the situation you have found in Nigeria. So that is the reason why. You see, Tinubu, he is now crying. He has now understood that it is no longer business as usual. This is not about a Milocon. This is not about it is my turn. Now it is about doing something for us to know exactly what. Now you have to now understand exactly what the position is all about. In that video where I showed you, Tinubu talked about Nigeria left to him as a liability. That it is a liability that he inherited from his predecessor. Now you ask yourself, how come? Why is he saying these things now? Why are they saying it? Because, of course, he wants to use that opportunity to do his own, to replenish his bag, to replenish his pocket, to make sure that everything he spent pre this election, all the things that he did behind the scene, he need to replenish them, while telling you that he inherited a liability. That is the language they will always use for you. Why do I say so? You did not send them there to go and start complaining. You placed them there. According to them, you placed them there. You did not place them there to go and start complaining. You placed them there to give you the result. So he does not have to complain. Regardless of the situation, liability, the whatever, the purse is empty, no budget, it does not matter. He is there because he said he can, and he is. So I believe that you as a Nigerian, you don't need to hear you don't need to hear excuses. You don't need to hear him complaining. You need to see a result, right? That is the result. The complaint has begun. Because, of course, you cannot tell me that Tinubu is not aware of the debt Nigeria have before he decided to say it is his turn. You cannot tell me that Tinubu is not aware of the current debt that Nigeria went into, and yet it was his turn. You are not going to tell me that all these things he understands, and having seen the world is actually slowly but surely making away with petroleum fuel, fossil fuel, and because they want to, they want a greener energy. The world is transitioning into greener energy. So they are making away with almost everything that has to do with, fuel. Now, or oil. Now, it is very, very important for you to know that you are in Nigeria. Your president, how many days in the office? Maybe 5 days, 4 days in the office. He's already complaining. Complaining about the liability, complaining about all the lootings that the previous administration left for him. Now, these are partisan. Now, bring it back to what Goodluck Jonathan said, that the previous administration will not be so scared because it is a party, the same party that assumed office. Because if it was another party that assumed office, maybe the previous administration believed that if Peter Obi go into the position of power, Peter Obi will hold him accountable, will hold him to account for what he did with the Nigerian money, the corruption, the mask wearing. So that is the reason why they have to do everything that they have to do, regardless of it is in the open. Even the foreign policies, they saw that there was a foul in that election. UK, they noticed there was a foul in that election. US delegates, they noticed there was a foul in that election. But they must place somebody who is Western controlled, so that these Western controlled entities, they will not try to find out the truth about what we've been saying about the mask wearer in Asorok. And this time, the mask wearer in Asorok has been preaching he is not going to retire in Nigeria. He is going to retire in Niger Republic or Daura, his village. His village where Boko Haram is also, Fulani headsmen is also disturbing them there. He is going to retire there. That he does not want anybody to trouble him with the Nigeria issue again. He does not want it because he is not going to be putting mask up and down where he will be enjoying the money he has stolen from Nigeria. He does not want anybody to disturb him. The young man who has been wearing the mask on his head. Of course, you have seen, ever since the young man is wearing a mask on his head, Aisha Buhari is now so pompous. She is now so big. You will be wondering, when Buhari was there, she was in a good shape. And she continued to maintain her, her structure. But because Buhari is now gone, she is now living, lavishing life, eating like nobody's business. Your money and the money of every other Nigeria that is out there. She is now becoming so fat. Now, because they know that if this Omo Igbo take that office, this Omo Igbo will not trust them. We not trust this Omo Igbo. These people, Omo Igbo, he will hold, first of all, the criminals in Asorok to account. Not only those in Asorok, those cabals in Asorok, he will hold them to account. Maybe. I am not actually, concluding. That's exactly what could be the reason why they must make sure it does not happen. Because when he was coming out, they thought it was a joke. They told him he does not have structure. He does not have this. Forget this and what Atiku Abubakar is doing there. He is just playing his own game. Now, they told him he does not have structure. He does not have nothing. He surprised them and win the election. A person with no structure. And the people was actually, making sure the vote was counted right at the voting station. They still rigged the election just to make sure that they protect this game of elite. Have you now seen what they are planning to protect? The game of elite. British knows that the man there was never Buhari. It was an imposter in Asorok. They knew. They concealed it. They kept quiet. Now, American, they know that the man that was there is not Buhari, is an imposter. They concealed it, they kept quiet. That is the reason why they had to act like they did not see this election malpractice. Even the letters written to the Washington, to the President of the United States, was ignored. And you cannot tell me that it was somebody who maybe does not have a surname that wrote the letter. The letter was written by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, well celebrated in the United States, well celebrated in Africa, well celebrated across the world, especially on feminism. So this is the person who took her time to write to American president, believing that these people, what we talk about this big world, it is a joke. That's why she took her time to write such letter, knowing that that letter will be thrown into the dustbin, because there must be a game of elite that must be protected. The game and the secrets of elite must be protected. That is the reason why they will never take that letter they will take that letter for granted, or they will just fold it and throw it away. Because the game of the elite must continue to prevail. While you're alive, as those people, they are playing this game on your life. You continue to keep quiet. If you continue to keep quiet, the game will continue to destroy you. The game will continue to chase you. The game will continue to lead you into one criminal activities to another. Even when you leave that country that you call your own, do everything, you find yourself going into another man's country. What will the game of the elite lead you to do? Because the game of the elite deprived you of your national share, national cake. The game of the elite deprived you of such thing that you're supposed to benefit from your country. You don't see it, even though you have resources. Let us name the resources. I'm also going to name those resources that many African countries possess, and yet they have no development, they have no growth. In Nigeria, you have natural gas. In Nigeria, you have ethane. In Nigeria, you have iron ore. In Nigeria, you have coal. In Nigeria, you have limestone. In Nigeria, you have you have niobium. There is a resource called niobium. In Nigeria, you have lead. In Nigeria, you have zinc. In Nigeria, you have arable. In Nigeria, you have lithium. In Nigeria, you have gold. Above all, as if it is not enough, in Nigeria, you have californium. In Nigeria, you have so many of them, so many of these things. Even I've been telling you about uranium. I've been telling you about uranium. I am going to actually show you which areas or which place in Nigeria you will be able to find those uranium. They are targeting Cross River State. Cross River State, Adamawa, Taraba, Plateau, Bauchi, and Kano State. Those are the places that they said they, there is a potential uranium. Remember, the game of elite will not announce it until they dig deep. Maybe by the time you will discover that is something there. It is only when there is another set of what do you call them, terrorists, another set of terrorists. Just one moment. So, very, very important. These are the resources you will find in Nigeria. But why is the biggest problem of Nigeria? Why is the primary source of, income in Nigeria? Why is the primary GDP of Nigeria is reliant on oil alone? Then you ask me, where are the rest of these things? There is tin, there is iron ore, there is coal, limestone, niobium, zinc, arable, lithium, gold. Where are those money going? The rest of these resources, who are those benefiting from them? Because in Nigeria, your primary, GDP is oil. Your primary source of revenue or income is oil. Why is it only oil? Who is actually exploring the rest of the resources? Do you know who is exploring it? The Chinese. Do you know who is exploring it? The elites, the Europeans. Do you know how most of them are exploring it? Because they notice that all the focus and attention of every Nigeria leaders is on oil money. Because they have heard about oil money. It is the only money that will, that is reasonable. Because these people, they don't try to actually pick small. They just want to do it once. That is the reason why there is so much corruption. Now you tell me, in this regard, there are African countries that is actually importing iron. Importing iron. Now, in this regard, you will understand that coal is part of Nigeria natural resources. Come to think of it, during winter, of course, so many of you are aware that Russia switched the gas off. Therefore, Europeans have to now look for alternatives in order to continue powering their generation electricity. They now turn to fossil fuel. This fossil fuel they turn to, it is coal. That is the primary one they turn to in order to keep their light on, before they decide what to do. They were buying coal from Africa. They were buying coal or exploring coal from Africa all this while. Now, Nigeria, the coal was very, very essential to them. Even now, I believe they are still buying coal. It is very, very essential for them, even though they are also calling for greener or renewable energy to decarbonize the climate. Now, but they were buying coal. So what happened to Nigeria coal? Who is buying it? Who is making use of it? The answer is what you need to ask these so-called political leaders that cannot give any account of anything. They are reliant of oil in order to do their service or do whatever they. That's why you do not have any good road service delivery. The oil, there are syndicates that are coming from the big world exploring and stealing this oil. You will not even get the profit that you're supposed to get out of this oil. You cannot get it out of this oil because there are syndicates. There are criminal syndicates from the big world that is exploring this oil, that is stealing this oil. That is the reason why you will see something like this from Shetema. From Shetima. Part of these people, of course, you know, Attorney General, the one who actually went to extraordinary rendition, a political activist from Kenya, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, to Nigeria. Extraordinary rendition. The man, in several occasions, you have seen him answering a case of oil theft, selling oil and not remitting the money. You have seen him on several. Let me show you this, what Vice President said. Your Vice President said, before we extend this topic to other African countries. Let me show you what the Vice President said. Listen.
The oil scam cabal is a very, very powerful cabal that are dangerously loaded, and they will go out of their way to undermine this great initiative by Mr. President.
The oil theft cabals are very, very dangerous cabals. The oil theft cabals are very, very dangerous cabals. Who are these oil theft cabals that are actually, strong enough to undermine the president, the presidential power or the presidential decisions? Who are those cabals that is strong enough to undermine it? The elites. The elites. That is the reason why it is still the same people, the big world, are the ones exploring petroleums, doing so many things. The big world, they are the ones doing it in Nigeria. And now, while doing it, you will be wondering, who is monitoring the oil exploration done by Shell? Is it Chevron? By Chevron and the other oil companies in Nigeria. Now bringing me to when I tell you that you will have the resources, The government that's supposed to develop such resources that's supposed to bring these resources away from the periphery and bring it to the mainstream in order to benefit the country from it. They will decide, and they will decide to be quiet because they are not productive. They are only consuming. They are supposed to be the ones who make sure that they explore this oil, they refine it, they send it, they sell it the way it should be sold, not to be manipulated. Now, at the end of the day, they tell you it is not the duty of the government to create employment. Rather, it is the duty of the government to create enabling environment. Do you know, it is a speech of elite. That's what the elite will always teach them. So that the elite will bring their own people to take care of your resources. They will bring their companies to take care of your employment. So that is when you talk about the power of neo-colonialism. That is where the elite is holding Africa on the neck, throttling her, that it will never breathe. Whenever you try to rebel against the elite, they will threaten you with the businesses that you will no longer have employment. They will be threatening you with such things. When you have graduates in those industries, when you have engineer that can manage those industries, all you need to do is recognize them and actually deploy them. They cannot do such. They will not do such. It is only a colonized country that their leader will tell you it is not the duty of a government to create employment. Only colonized countries, especially only African countries, will give you that answer. Because if you government cannot create at least 50% of what employs your own people, you are waiting for foreign investors to come and create such employment. So foreign investors create like 75% of employment that holds your country's economy, or that is actually employing your people. They manipulate these numbers. They are manipulating these numbers. You cannot tell them, you cannot let them go. Because if you let them go, because you are so scared, if I let them go, I will not see any money to steal now. If I let them go now, I will be the worst president. If I let them go now, our people will not be employed. They will blame me. That is how the power of neo-colonialism is structured. It will continue to eat you up. It will continue to dig deep into you. That is it. It is a bone on the throat. You can't swallow. You cannot vomit. That is what these people, how they set up this neo-colonial agenda. So many of you will be believing, no, these are the people controlling your leaders. They are controlling your leaders. Regardless of where you want, however your leaders, how intellectual your leaders will be. That's why they always have this mindset. If I can't beat them, I join them. I don't have a choice. That's what they will tell you. If I cannot beat them, I rather join them. I don't have a choice. Now, he talks about petroleum criminals. Remember, among all these resources that you have in Nigeria, among all these resources, you only dependent on petrol, on oil. Now there are people who are stealing this oil outside the gold that Nigeria have, outside the lithium that Nigeria have, zinc, lead that Nigeria have, limestone that Nigeria have. Outside all these things, you are dependent on only oil. You are not even looking for any other thing. Have you now seen how your mind is positioned inside that contraption called Nigeria? You are actually you are positioned to be limited. You are positioned to be stagnant. Now, if oil, the whole world is actually migrating towards renewable energy. There is now electric cars all over the place. When all these things are now, when it is rolled out all over the world, what will be the value of this oil anymore? I don't think there will be a lot of it. Is your leaders working towards, you know, bringing an innovation, having a backup plan that will sustain for sustainable future or for foreseeable future? Do they have such plan? The answer is no. So let me bring back the one for Buhari before we extend this topic, because there is this guy lamenting from South Africa. This guy lamenting from South Africa, I saw a video. He said he is Igwe, he called himself Igwe somebody. I will play his video. Let me see.
Tinubu don't cry, come outside. Say Nigeria, come they beg, they say the same people where they promise us.
I want you to listen to this video.
But the content, as we have seen this morning, is so valuable. The camaraderie is very stimulating. This is about Nigerian project, not about Bola Tinubu. I don't have dealership in petroleum products.
Petroleum. All about
And
petroleum.
I don't intend to have. Decisions that you have seen, and I thank you for supporting, for encouraging all of this. It's one, I inherited, and it is fundamental, inherit the asset and liability of my predecessor. That's it. No budget, no penny that have been moved. This is the first time you enter the council chamber, right? This is the first time that I'm entering it too.
He inherited the asset and liability from the predecessor with no budget. Hey, I want you to remove the asset behind the liability. Focus on that liability that he talked about. Remove the asset, focus on the liability, because he's trying to be politically correct. He is complaining, he is trying to actually shy away from the truth that it is the same APC that he inherited no budget, that he inherited the liability. What is this liability and what is this asset you are talking about? The liability is that the country is highly indebted without actually having plans on how to service this debt while continue to pay the workers, or while continue to pay their bills, other bills within the economy. That is exactly what he is crying about. It is not what he expects that he is seeing, but there is no room for complaint. Emilokon, it is your turn. So those who has been campaigning Femilokon, he built Lagos. He built Lagos, he made Lagos a best place, he made Lagos a biggest economy, he did this, he did that. He built Lagos. Now it is time to build from Aso Rock. This is not the time to build from Banana Island. This is the time to build from Aso Rock now. You have inherited a liability with no budget. Now, this has been what we were saying pre-election. Whoever that is going to go there is going to inherit liability. There is even a rumor that they claim they've been paying fuel subsidy, but fuel subsidy has not been paid. Has not been paid. They have not been paying fuel subsidy. It was all a lie. That is according to the claim I saw, which I am still investigating such claim before I will actually come to talk about it. Now you will understand how fraudulent Nigeria is. And his hands are tied. He has no choice. Just get ready to embrace the biggest poverty in Nigeria. Get ready to embrace the biggest inflation rate in Nigeria. Get ready to actually start trekking in Nigeria. They claim they have removed subsidy, which, maybe they are not even paying for subsidy. Somebody was siphoning that money in the name they are paying subsidy. Now they have to act as if they've been paying for subsidy. Why are you paying subsidy? You own the petrol. You own the resources. There are refineries in Nigeria that are supposed to be working, but it is not working. So why do you have to pay subsidy instead of using that money to get your refinery to work? You didn't do it all this while. Have you now seen the reason why Nigeria will never work? Because the game of the elite is actually controlling Nigeria, because they are still running on the structure of the elite. The structure the elite put up there. So the elite will continue to manipulate this structure. There is something I have seen. Nigeria is a product of neo-colonialism. A product of neo-colonialism. And there is no way you are going to actually be sustained in that neo-colonial enclave. You will never have a sustainable growth. You will never have any growth, any progress. Because the people that have enclaved on you, the people that are biting or feeding on you, that is clinging on you, the weight is that of elephant. You cannot even move an inch while carrying them as a load. Not only that you are carrying these people, there is 220 million people waiting for you to carry them also. But the thing there is that they are not carrying this 200 something million, which is you Nigerians. They are carrying the elite. They are only carrying the elite and their own family. And this game will continue. Let me give you an example. If you go to Congo, you will find their president, who is Denis Sassou. He has been a Congolese president for the last 36 years. One president for the last 36 years. In Congo, you have cobalt. Cobalt can be used to create many things. Battery, can use to create battery. Can use them to create even this electric car batteries. Can use them to create zinc. I think zinc. There are many things cobalt can do. Chemical, there are many things cobalt can do. There is copper. Copper is you know, one of the most important resources that Chinese need. You know, Chinese, they need copper more than they need every other thing. Copper. Now, the Congo, they have copper, and they have that, etc. They have many things, but this is the most important thing that Congo have. Now, who colonized Congo? Congo. Congo also have uranium. They have uranium. Yes. Congo have uranium. Yeah. Who colonized Congo? It is Belgium. Belgium colonized Congo. Belgium is still ruling Congo indirectly. That is the reason why you will find one president in the last 36 years. There is no economic growth there. There is no, people in Congo are running helter-skelter. Nothing is going on there. Now you go to Cameroon, your neighbor to Nigeria. Cameroon, there is agitation in Cameroon between Ambazonian and the Cameroon, is it Ambazonia and is it Francophone and Ambazonian that are having problems. Now, inside Cameroon, the agitation is going on because of bad governance. And Paul Biya is the president of Cameroon. He has been there since 1982, right? Since 1982, he has been there. Do you know the resources that Cameroon have? Cameroon have oil and gas. They have coffee. They have cotton. They have cocoa. They have cotton, cocoa, oil, and gas. That is enough to elevate the country to greatness. But they will not. There is, German colonized Cameroon. Britain is even, involved there. Britain is also involved there in Cameroon. The forces there is too much. And the only thing that will destroy these forces, something that actually can remove them from this, that can create a paradigm shift in these countries, it is only through revolution. Now, let us go to Equatorial Guinea. Equatorial Guinea, the poverty, corruption, there is repression, there is HIV, high HIV in Equatorial Guinea. They were colonized by Spain. The president that is there, Equatorial Guinea, his name is Mbasaho or Mbasaho. Mbasoho is the name of the president. He has been president since 1979. Even now, he is still president. They have so much resources that they will be able to be one of the richest country in Africa. Ever since I started hearing about this country, do you know what comes to my mind? I see it as a country that does not have resources. Do you know why? Because these presidents, they will take over power. They are installed by these people who colonize them. They are the only people who make sure of who is going to sit in the first citizen and control police and army. It has been the problem. Now you go to Angola. Angola, they have oil and gas. Angola is also grappling with poverty. Angola is also grappling with. They had a president that sat in the position of power for more than 37 years. The name of the president is the Santos. He sat in the position of power. He changed nothing. He did nothing. So, because Angola is Portuguese, they were colonized by the Portuguese. What is happening in Angola now? Poverty rate is high, and corruption is high there. And then there are instability. There are instability there, and I believe also there is terrorism there as well. Now, you go now to Kenya. Kenya, where they went and took Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, the political activist, renditioned him, connived with the Kenya government under Uhuru Kenyatta to shut up a political activist who has what it takes to educate, emancipate people without being politically correct, because that's what they fear the most. Whenever they see that you are speaking without being politically correct, they fear you the most. That is exactly what is going on. In Kenya, they have a resources that is called kyanite. Kyanite. Kyanite is one of the big resources that Kenya have. Kyanite, you can use it to manufacture ceramics and many other things. You know, ceramics and many other things. They have corundum. They have corundum. Corundum is something they use to build spacecraft and laser. Kenya have such resources. They use it for spacecraft and laser. Remember, even this laser weapon that the Western world and even China, they are building, they will be needing something called corundum. Corundum. It is found in Kenya. They have that. How many spacecraft has Kenya built? The answer is none. Maybe they don't even know what this resources is basically used for. Because they are Africa. These are countries that are very rich. Very, very rich. They have marble. All this marble, you will always, there was a time that if you build a house, you don't have marble. You haven't started. Kenya have marble, raw. And they have different varieties of gemstones, which is stones. You can have different varieties of important stones. They have them. What do they do with them? Is there poverty there? A lot of it. Is there hunger there? A lot of it. Why? Why does Africa have all these good resources that Europeans are actually nosing into the African affair just because of these things? Then the leaders you put in the position of power, they keep quiet. They can't make use of these things to make you great. What do you need to do? You need to revolt. It is time for the young generation to understand that the elder generation did not do it right. It is time for the young generation to take over their future. It is the revolution of Africa. There is no way you are going to say it does not concern you. It is now the time it must concern you. it is the time it must concern you. Because the most important thing is that if you haven't seen, these are few, African countries that I've mentioned. They don't have economic growth. They don't have good governance. They don't have any, they don't have anything to write home about them. Nothing. Nigeria is their capital letter. The worst of them all. The worst of them all. Giant of Africa. Have you now seen where the failure started? When they named a failure a giant, what it will create is failures. When you name a success a giant, it creates success. And I am not actually being prejudiced about or against Nigeria. I am being realistic here. It's just that I cannot be politically correct because I want you as a layman to understand what I am saying, because the mainstream media will always use diplomatic and politically, to hide the truth from you, because they know that the real people who can stand up in order to do something to change their situation, they don't understand the diplomatic and politically correctness. That is the reason why they will always want you to report it politically, correctness diplomatically. No. If you continue to try to be politically correct, your people will never have mind emancipation. It is now time for African revolution. If you don't start now, you may never finish. It is now for African liberation, African revolution, African growth, African minds emancipation, African decolonization. It is now time. There is no way you will continue to wallow in your ignorance and you believe one day it is going to be good. There is nothing that is going to be good about one day, because in the last 60 years, it has never been good. It has never been okay. That is the reason why people from the giant of Africa, the so-called biggest economy in Africa, are running helter-skelter. If you go to the borders of Britain, you'll find Nigerians there trying all their best to go in. If you go to Morocco, if you go to Libya, if you go to all these places, the borders where the Sahara Desert, you will find Nigerians trying to go walk to from, wherever their starting point is, to Europe. Trying to go to find a greener pasture. In the quest of you trying to go out there, run. Yeah, there is fire on the mountain. Run. A big fire. You will go to Sahara Desert just to enter Europe. You will fake your age. You will fake your past. You will fake many things. Then, because of the lifestyle Britain have actually given you, a life in infamy. That is the life that you are living in Nigeria. The so-called giant that everybody in it is trying to run away. If you open the gate of hell, called that contraption now, you will find out that you will never see, the only people you will see there left are the politicians. I am telling you the honest truth. If you want to understand if Nigeria is a desired nation for anybody, open the gate of Nigeria to any country, any available country now. In the next 20 minutes, you will still stampede that maybe you will have more than 100 million people lining up to leave the country. Why? Giant of Africa. Biggest economy in Africa. Biggest population in Africa. So, if they are biggest economy, if they are giant of Africa, if they are biggest population, they're supposed to be the leader of Africa. And a leader is supposed to lead by example. Now, if Nigeria is good, do you think you will hear somebody like this. There is this man I saw. He's complaining about how Nigerians are being treated in South Africa. Listen to him.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. This is our King of Nigeria, South Africa. His Royal Majesty, Ezende Igbo, South Africa. Obi of Obindieze, Paramount King of Nigeria, South Africa. I want to ask Minister of Police, Sele, what is happening in South Africa? Minister of Police, Sele, what is happening in your country? I want to ask President Ramaphosa, what is happening in South Africa? I want to ask the government officials of South Africa what is happening in South Africa. Why do you people allow somebody called Tunani, a criminal, to be murdering Nigerians because in the name of he hating Nigerians? I'm asking you this question. Almost 15 to 20 Nigerians are in coma, in class door, Porchester. This man are working with the police of class door and Porchester and killing Nigerians. They will be beating Nigerians, men and women, until you go to coma, until you die. They will tell you, Tunani will tell you, if you don't want to die, show us where Nigerians who are selling drugs, they are living. Tunani and some police, some criminal police, and some of them are carrying drugs, moving around Glasgow, Porchester, Johannesburg, everywhere. You mean South Africa does not obey their own law? You mean that South Africa, everybody should be committing crime or disobeying the law of the country? Why must this happen? Right now, as I'm talking, many Nigerians are in class up.
Okay, I think that is the end of the video. Now, have you now seen the situation, how you are subjected, what you are subjected to, only because you are a Nigerian? And that is the reason why the video I played of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu yesterday, anybody who is championing one Nigeria, you are a Nigeria, you are this, you are going to die. Because Nigeria is a name that is hated. It is actually evil. Nigeria. Why do you think anybody will take you serious wherever you go? Why do you think anybody will like you? He talks about police beating Nigerians and beat them into coma in South Africa. He called the name of the province in South Africa, and he said there is a person who, I don't know if you say he's talking about the person being a police or working with police, this beating up Nigerians to show them to who are those Nigerians selling drugs. That's exactly what he said. Now, why would a person start saying that he hates Nigerians? He hates Nigerians. Do you know why he will hate Nigeria? Because your leader hates you. Your leader in Nigeria hates you. That's why somebody must hate you. You don't, as an ane, you don't know normal map one. you will become good, beautiful from inside before you go out there. So if your leaders in Nigeria value you, if they don't hate you, they will not create atmosphere that makes you run away from that country called Nigeria. That you will go to a place where people are, where people are grappling with, let me tell you something. Ever since I've started trying to understand the system in South Africa, they are actually going through a colonial process. I want to tell you something that is about South Africa. They are going through a neo-colonialism. Remember, they were in this other apartheid system. Now they are going through a power of neo-colonialism. Exactly the same thing I am talking about in Nigeria, where you will allow this big world imperialist, they come and create the employment for the masses. If they want to aggravate the masses, they will decide to make sure they reduce the employment rate, because they know the masses will blame it on the African, because it is all about promotion of black on black violence. They will blame it on the fellow African that is in South Africa. That's why they will tell you that South Africa is xenophobic. Now, when I look at them, I don't look at them being xenophobic. I look at the system that makes them to be xenophobic, because that is a similar thing you are grappling with in the zoo. But their own is that it is pushing them against black Africans. And every crime that is actually perpetrated there is a crime of black Africans, not crime of European, not crime of Chinese, not crime of Asia. It is a crime of black Africans. Why? Because the system knows the way they are actually thinking. Now, if you listen to the news coming out of South Africa, every day it is a problem of illegal foreigners. Illegal foreigners, because of course it looks like when they say foreigners, it looks like they are xenophobic. They will now use the illegal foreigners, and these illegal foreigners who opened the gate for the illegal foreigners to come in. Is it not South Africa? The same South Africa. Who now made it difficult for these foreigners not to get documents? Is it not South Africa? Is it those illegal foreigners? Now, if indeed South Africans want to, do the right thing in this regard, they should actually try to, they should ask their government, who opened gate for these illegal foreigners? Why? Who do we blame? Instead of going out there, isolating yourselves, because the behavior that you guys are presenting to the fellow African countries, it is a behavior of isolation. You might think it is this behavior, it is actually, you might think it is just nonchalant behavior. It is not nonchalant. There is a deliberate, will I call it a system that is actually deliberate about provoking you into doing this. So that, remember that when South Africa was grappling with the problem they had during the oppression time period, many African countries supported them. Now I believe the system is now trying to isolate them. It is trying to isolate them. I don't know. I cannot comprehend. I am just according to, because when I got this from this guy, I made more research. I believe the system is trying to isolate them, but it is something that they need to actually find a way to deal with. It is a beautiful country. It is, I believe, one of the countries in Africa that has a working democracy. A working democracy. If you want to understand them, follow their news. If you want to know about them, follow their news. They are the one of the advanced country in the African continent. If not the, they are one of the advanced country in the African continent. But the system want to isolate them. It is up to them to deal with it. If you know that you are dealing with illegal foreigners, if you cannot curb them, if you cannot actually stop them, why don't you make it easier for them to access documents to be legalized? It is very simple as that. Soften your immigration law that enables them to obtain documentation. Close the border and tighten your border security so that you will learn how to contain the ones that are there already. Because the economy of Africa is bad all over the place. It is bad. So most of the time, I can understand and I can imagine in Africa, when the economy is bad, your energy is channeled to blame somebody who is a visitor because they are the reason. We are all in this mess together. When there is a crime, this man is saying the man is carrying drugs and looking for people, and he's using it. I don't know if he's using it to do, he's looking for them to force them or to beat them and take it and show them that they are the ones who own it. So, however it is, I believe that South Africa government should look into this. Let's call a crime a crime. Let us not, give this crime a nationality. Let us not give this crime a name. Let's call a crime a crime. Africa is grappling with neocolonialism. And this neocolonialism, it is actually a very simple thing. The where they have you, hold you on the ground, is the business investors and the businesses they have established. And they know if they remove it, your people are unemployed. And secondly, if they isolate you from every other country that's supposed to rescue you, or every other African countries that's supposed to rescue you, because it might come to that point where people from South Africa might be wanting to travel to look for opportunities, because that is the process that is going on. There are countries with a good resources. Gold, they have diamonds. They have gold, they have diamonds. I believe there are now, is it 25 or 30 years of freedom. They are still young, but I believe they can do better. It is very, very important that they deal with this issue of them being labeled xenophobic country. It is not a good thing, because The mainstream media, the way they will be reporting it, the mainstream media, especially mainstream media from this big world, from imperial nations, the way they will be reporting it, South Africa is seen as the xenophobic country in Africa. They will be reporting it in a way that they have to provoke another countries to could continue to remind them. Other countries, no, in that African continent, continue to remind them, these people, they are doing this to you. They are doing that to you. They are this, they are that. Because they don't want any advanced country in Africa. They don't want any country that is ruled by a black man in Africa to be advanced or to ever see the light. They don't want it. They want them to live in abject poverty. They want them to be backward so that they will be dependent on them in order to supply them. They are still envious of what the old regime did for that country. So they want to ruin it. They want to make sure they bring it to dust, to mud. It is the plan of the elite, the game of the elite. It is up to you to buckle your, to pull up your socks. Very, very important. And Igwe in South Africa, I believe your message will be sent to the rights, people. But I advise those Nigerians that you cannot be in another man's country and expect freedom. It is time for you to call for a change where you come from. It is time for you to call for a change where you come from. That thing that is making you run away from where you come from. That is exactly part of the reason why these people, you are talking about, might be so insecure. Because most important thing is that advise Nigeria in South Africa. Advise them, since you are Igwe, you are chief, advise them to also know they shouldn't behave like Nigeria. Nigeria is, Nigeria is not anything good for human being. They should actually make sure they join force with those who are fighting for a better future, who are fighting for this revolution to take place, so that everyone will return to their own place and go and develop it and go and actually fight for the nation building, having experienced what you have experienced in the current system that you have passed through. Pray the revolution that is upcoming. You will never want to pass through it. You will learn from your mistake. You will establish something that will be, that will be strong, that will not make you run away from it, that will not make you to go out there and start committing one petty crime. When they see one person, they label everybody that they are criminal. Because anybody in any country in this world, when they hear Nigerians, they call them criminal, because they know that the criminals are the leaders of Nigeria, right? Like your current president, 1999, what was his case in Chicago? Why do you think you will not be called that you are a drug dealer? Because you say you are Nigeria. So all these things, you will understand that it is from your grassroots. It is a grassroots problem. You need to lend your voice. You need to add your voice. You need to make sure that everything we are actually dealing with, you need to make sure you contribute so that we deal with it once and for all. Because if you believe that I am stupid, that is the reason why every time I waste my time, I will even, finish work late, leave my work in order to talk about how the betterment of our own people. No, it does not make me stupid. It is all about love for our people and the love we have for a black man. That is exactly the reason why I am doing what I am doing. And it is very, very necessary for you to know it is time for you to rise up from your comfort zone and join the struggle. If you cannot join it with your speech, join it with your journey, join it with those whom you know, join it with your money, join it with anything you can. As long as you are part and parcel of this calling for a change to occur, remember that it can only start from the giant. If it starts from the giant, it will now expand every other place. We will show them that. Let's show them how we can do it. Let's show them how we can achieve it. It is achievable. It is up to you to decide which way you want to turn. Because the most important thing in life is change. The most constant thing in life is change. It's the only thing. And for that change to occur, you need to remove your emotions. You need to remove what if. Do that what if with a future. Because if all of you run away from, because as the system is established, so that you run away, go and give cheap labor to the big world. When you run away from the system, you go and become a cheap laborer. Just like UK, they are, I think UK is recruiting some skills from Nigeria. They will recruit 2,200, they will recruit 800, they will recruit 20,000. These are skills that will never be useful to Nigeria. These skills will never be useful to Nigeria that actually bring up these skills. But rather, these skills will be useful to who? Europeans. Neo-slavery. They invite you there. They underpay you. Don't think that they're inviting you there most of the time just because they don't have the skills. That is cheap labor for them. They know that anybody coming out of Nigeria is under pressure. They will use you. So that is part of it. So many of you will say, I got a scholarship. I am going to Britain to be a petrol engineer. I got a scholarship. I am going to be aeronautic engineer. You will not know they are looking for you for the sake of your cheap labor. Chinese actually took America by surprise because US hired Chinese for cheap labor. They used to hire Chinese for cheap labor. But because Chinese were very intelligent people. Those things they are doing for US. Most of them now are gone back to China. They have gone back to China to do it for their own country. That's why they are progressive. When are you going to bring this your skills and come to Biafra land? Because that is our only hope. Biafra land, our only hope. Not this shenanigan you see they are pulling up in Nigeria. That shenanigan is what you will continue to see. From now till, infinity, you will continue to see such shenanigan. Nigeria will never allow you to see the light. As long as this neo-colonial structure is concerned, when you cannot give account of how many barrels of oil leave the shores of Nigeria on a daily basis, when you cannot give account of those who are your oil criminals, when you cannot give account or make use of the mineral resources that you have, you cannot make use of it. You are dependent on the oil because you don't need to use it to manufacture anything. It is something that you just refine and sell. That is the reason why you are so dependent on it, because your mind is so lazy. Mind of the Nigeria leaders and their Nigeria elite, it is so lazy that they cannot think out of the box, to know what they will use their iron ore to do, to know what they will use their lithium to do, to know what they will use their, all this coal to do. They don't have electricity, but they have coal. They have all these beautiful resources that can help any country to stand tall. But they don't use it, they're not making use of it. Every day petrol, see, Nigeria. Petrol has run Nigeria. Every day gas is in Nigeria. Refineries in Nigeria. It is all about petrol coming out of Biafra land. What are they reserving those all these other resources? Timber we have. What are they why are they actually reserving it for? That is to show you the problem mostly you have in Africa. It is a problem of old age. Number one, the problem of old age. I am not necessarily saying that the old people cannot reason, but I am saying that the old people, they are outdated in terms of economic development, economic growth, in terms of, transitioning from this, microeconomy to, global standard economy. It will not actually happen because these old people, they are backward. They don't move forward. So, until we realize that when I tell you that Nigeria disintegration is a task that must be done, until you realize it is a task that must be done, you will never go anywhere, you will never achieve anything, because you will continue to be in denial of your, future development. Because people like Joy Bokwe will tell you, we need the number. We need the number. You cannot even keep, peace in your family. You need to keep peace in 200 million people. You need the number. Where are you? Which position did APC give you? You need the number. I don't see you anymore. All these old-fashioned people who does not have, of course, they don't have energy to think again. They don't have energy to think again. You don't blame them. But the problem I have with them is that they will always make themselves available, acting like they are more intelligent than every other person. Be acting like they are more sophisticated than every other person. That is the problem they have. They don't know that their time is of old. Their time has gone. It is now time for the younger generation to move to move the country forward. Now, because the system will never allow those younger generation, because any younger generation that will come into the system, first thing they have to do is disintegration of the system that is fully encroached by the power of neocolonialism, fully controlled by the imperialism. Now, first of all, disintegration of that system. And now, reintegration of people to their compatible, geopolitical space. If you are Biafra, be the way you were. Oduduwa, be the way you were. These people be the way you were. We will have a relationship of multilateralism, bilateralism, and we continue to have free trade, we will have, we will build infrastructure that will still connect us while everybody will be on their own. Then our infrastructure and our business relationship continue to connect us. But if you want us to carry arm in order to make sure that we build a better future for our children, this relationship that I am talking about will no longer be in existence, because of course there is no way it is going to happen if we carry arm against each other. Because this change that we are calling for, whether they like it or not, God in heaven knows that this change must come. There is nothing that is going to stop this change. Because what you are living, you are not living a life. Just like this man said that people in South Africa, they are in coma. More than how many people in South Africa, they are in coma as a result of how they were treated. Is it the type of life you want your children to return from abroad, telling you they bring everyday coffin from abroad to Nigeria, everyday coffin from abroad to Nigeria, everyday coffin is returning? Your child that you sold a land to send there, they return him in a coffin. Is that a good thing? No. Yet you will be there, you will be telling yourself, no, I don't want to experience war again. No, you are fooling yourself. The war is already at your doorstep. That's why your children are running away from the Nigeria, return in a coffin. Because no one care about them. They don't care about them. They don't give a damn about them. They go there, they are killed. Even in Africa continent, your people, Nigerians are being killed. Nigerians are being placed into coma because of the hatred, because of the way they also behave. Because don't forget that there is no smoke without a fire. There is no smoke without fire. The way they also behave. If you call your own important, it becomes important to you. But the problem is that most of the time they use the same brush to paint everybody. That's exactly the way it is. It is time to return home. It is time to call for a change. It is time for African revolution. African revolution or nothing. If you are in Nigeria believing that if you select somebody who will give you incentive or who will give you one bag of rice and a tomato that will just finish immediately, you believe that you will keep on selecting until you select better, you are fooling yourself. You are the biggest fool. You are the biggest fool that ever existed. Every 8 years, they will present to you, people will come to those villages, give you rice, oil, and macaroni. They will give you all these things. At the end of the day, you feed because you are greedy dogs. You just feed. It is about what you want to get now. It is not about the future. You don't think about what will be of me if I am done eating this today. What will be of me tomorrow? This decision you want to do, you want to make, every day you accept them to come and lie to you, to come and fool you. Why don't you convert that energy, fight for the everlasting solution instead of believing in hope? Because your pastor might have told you that, no, you have hope, have faith, it will be better. It will never be better if you haven't taken a step to make it better. It will only be better when you take a step to make it better. You will not pray, no matter how much you pray. It will never be good. It will never be better. It will continue to deteriorate. It will continue to get worse. In the last 60 years, We will have light. I will give you a steady electricity. I will give you a pipe-borne water. I will give you a good road. I will give you etc. Everything that helps life, infrastructure. How many of them have any of these old hags that you put in the position of leadership in Nigeria ever done for you? They will not. It is not in their power. It is the game of elite, and the elite will always make that selection. For you to remove the hands of elite in your life, in your destiny, in your generation, you need to revolt. You need to disintegrate. You need to disintegrate that system that make their hands to always be upon you. You need to disintegrate. It is as simple as that. Disintegration and reintegration. That is what you need. If you talk about Sri Lanka, they revolted. Remove whoever that is in the office. Of course, the neo-colonialists will tell them, you have the army and police, go out and kill these people. Until you tell them how many are you going to kill before we get our hands on you, it must come with a sacrifice. You know, whatever you are going to do, a sacrifice must be paid. For you to attain to any level, there must be a sacrifice. Forget this sacrifice that your pastor will tell you it is about offering and tithe. That is the sacrifice you need to pay. There must be a sacrifice before it gets better. It is about everybody rising up in that contraption, from that contraption which is the giant of Africa, from there to Cameroon, from Cameroon to Ghana, from Ghana to Togo, from Togo to Niger, from Niger to Guinea, from Guinea to Mali, from Mali to Rwanda, from Rwanda to Kenya, from Kenya to Tanzania, from Tanzania to South Africa, from South Africa to Angola, from there to Morocco, Tunisia, Egypt, all these places. It is time for us to know we must have a change. It is not that change we will continue to sing it behind the microphone. It is a change now. Disintegration of any colonial structure. Disintegration of every colonial structure, and making sure that people go back to what they were pre-colonialism. Making sure that anybody that is still championing the agenda of neo-colonialists, you remove them. If they don't want to remove by peace, you remove them by force. Sideline these people, because this arrangement is always been, renewed by this stooge they place in the position of leadership. If you remove them, if they don't want it peacefully, do it by force. How many police and army they have? Highest they have it 100,000, but you have 200 million. In every other country, highest they have 100,000, but you have more than 20 million. Outnumber them. That's the only way you can do it. Because the kingdom of God suffer violence, but the violent ones take it by force. You know what it means? That power of neo-colonialism, it lies, and it is actually revamped by, will I say, it is actually being controlled through the stooge you call leaders. If those stooges are not there, if you remove all these things, after you might have suffered for a while, you will get there. You now understand that you need to value the skills that is coming out of your country. Don't let them run away, just like Nigeria is doing. There is no skill. I saw the economic lady, what is her name? The Biafran lady who is in the world economic position. What is talking about that Nigeria should look for other things that they will actually focus their, they will actually make money from instead of this oil. I heard her talk about it. It is a little bit too late. Because of course, even if it is not too late, there is nobody who has the political will to actually look for other things. They just want to focus on this. But we will only be right after you might have suffered for a while. Don't remember that this power of neo-colonialist is about the power that will continue to remind you or to tell you, no, we gave 1 million people employment. We created your refinery. Without us, your refinery will not run. Without us, you cannot use your mineral resources. Without us, your people will not get employment. To hell with them. After you might have suffered for a while, you will stand in your feet and you will stand tall. And you will never regret getting rid of these people. But you will suffer for a while. How many of you are ready to pay that sacrifice? To suffer for a while? How many of you are willing to go through that journey of revolution? How many of you? It is the only thing that will help Africa. All this thing of many things that is being talked about, let us unite Africa, let us do this. It is more than okay. But we need to destroy those structures inside individual African countries that will never enable them to thrive. Because you have to start from the grassroots. You must start from the grassroots. And that grassroots is making these individual countries to realize what is the problem within them, within their economy. Before you talk about now, you say we have solved your problem internally. After solving your problem internally, now if we bring you, you are a free country. Now you are a free country. Now let's have a true federal, a true federal state. All African countries maybe will have one leader, but every African country control their economy, control their destiny, and we'll have a place where we pay tax to the center. That is, we'll do true federalism in African continent. Before it will be obtainable, there must be a solution to this internal problem, the structure. Those who were, forcefully joined together, you disintegrate them, reintegrate them to their position. They have their own space, territorial integrity. Now, when we talk about, African unity, you will know that you are not doing this African unity at my own detriment. And I am not doing it at your own detriment. We are doing it as we have agreed and say we are doing it. But the way it is, we are not talking the real topic. All this structure, internal structure. Because you will be believing that you are calling for African unity. Oh yes, oh yeah, member will be following. You don't know they are saboteur. Because they are the stooge of this colonial power that is actually putting you on the ground every year, every day, every month, every year, every season. If you don't deal with them, give them the position they have to be, there will be no change in Africa without true revolution. If there is no revolution in Africa, there will be no change. And that revolution starts internally. You look at me, what I am, you start doing it. That's why you must start from the giants. The revolution. It will happen in every country of Africa. Then that is the only thing that is capable enough to destroy the power and the agenda of neo-colonialists, the imperialists. Because Of course, there is a paradigm shift going on, but they will never live without a fight. They will make you to, they will remind you, we own you. Because through their stooges, inside every country, they have their stooge. They have the implementation they have done there, which they will use to manipulate you economically. They will use to manipulate you, otherwise, they will use to manipulate you religiously. They will use it to manipulate you in so many areas that you will never avoid it. Except if revolution take place internally, from internal to external, then it will now be across every African continent. If we cannot achieve that, forget this issue of let's unite. It will never work. If you want to cut a tree so that it doesn't grow again, start from the root. If you want to actually water a tree so that it will replenish, water it from the root. You cannot be, cannot be on top of the root or watering the tree from the leaves. The leaves, it is the root that gives the leaves greener pasture. So if you want to establish this Africa the way everyone is dreaming about it, let's start internally. Neo-colonial structure. Neo-colonial structure. But until we meet again, don't forget, we can only be a free continent in Africa if we actually make a way with those stooges that they have placed there in the name of your leader. They are manipulating him, they are controlling him because they are all the ones controlling the economy. So whatever they give him is what he gets. So if you take them away, don't worry about how the economy will run. Let it run on autopilot because you've been running, you've been surviving, you have never benefited anything from it. So why are you feed from hand to mouth? Why are you so scared to destabilize this thing and we start afresh? Who is going to pay more? You already used to this suffering. Suffer once and get used to it and get rid of it. Then these people, let them run. By the time they come back, we give them the position where they are supposed to sit. And it is going to be a revolution that will solve that conundrum. If you are serious about it, you start it from your space. Motivate people. Tell them the reason. The reason why is that the Europeans, the colonialists, they are using those you find in the position of power to enslave you, to impoverish you, and there is nothing you will do to change it except if you chase them away. Had it been those people who planned military coup in Nigeria in 1966 succeeded, you will not find a problem in Nigeria because Nigeria will be divided, or Nigeria will be running on a true federalism, regionalism. You won't be having this issue we are having today. But they did not succeed because there is always a colonial stooge there that is going to make you fail. That is the reason why factionalism is always what they have introduced to make you fail in every movement that is formidable you want to embark on. They use faction to make it fail. So it is up to you to be prepared for even that faction because they will come. Be prepared. Africa time is now or never. And it is the youth that will make it happen. The youth of Africa. You should not wait to be served in a golden platter. Because no one loves you that much to serve you with a golden platter. All these, your leaders, they cannot beat them, they join them. That is the slogan. We cannot beat them, we join them. They become their stooge for life. Their life is set. They have built a generational wealth. What is there for you? You will be sick. You don't even have money to access a good hospital. You die. So many, we have lost our loved ones because of the situation of the hospital. You have lost your loved ones. People you know that in overseas, you see that these things they are suffering is not even a serious illness. It is something that is curable. But they will die in Nigeria. They will die in Equatorial Guinea. They will die in Congo. They will die in Kenya. They will die in Malawi. They will die in Zimbabwe. They will die in everywhere in Africa because it is called Africa. Until we meet again, don't let anything stand in your way of preaching and calling for change. Change is the only thing that is constant. It is the only thing that will elevate you from this problem that you see in your various nations. Destruction of and disintegration of this colonial structure. Now, you will now own the power. When they say power to the people, it will be reality. But for now, stay safe, stay informed. Until we meet again. Bye for now.